Welcome to Menopause Natural Solutions. You're listening to episode number 49, Female Reproductive Hormones. Welcome to Menopause Natural Solutions, your podcast for all things perimenopause and menopause related. Stay tuned as naturopath Jennifer Harrington explains how to use natural therapies to transform your health and happiness. Hello, ladies. It was so wonderful last week to meet many of you. Thank you to everyone who turned up to my webinar. And I apologize I didn't release the podcast last week. I just got so busy with the webinar series and with the onboarding of the new patients that came along from there. So a big hello to all my new patients. Thank you for trusting in me and coming on this journey. But guys, if you missed out, if you didn't realize or you couldn't make one of the two webinars I ran last week, I'm going to put the replay in the notes. I had so much fun doing it. I'm going to have to do some more webinars in the future. But for now, the replay will have to do. Anyway, let's get on to our topic. So today I wanted to talk to you about the female reproductive hormone life cycle, because this is something that I spoke about in one of the webinars and I couldn't remember ever talking about it in the podcast. So I thought I'd fill in the blank for you guys. And really, before we get started, let me tell you about hormones, because hormones are chemical messengers. They pass on their messages through the body by connecting to receptors. And it's a similar manner to how like a key fits into a lock. And hormones work throughout your body. If we take estrogen as an example, you may think of it purely as a reproductive hormone, but it actually has receptors in the brain, in the skin, in the breasts, in the adrenals, in the bladder, in the kidney, in the bones, in the joints, in the lungs, in the intestines, in the lymphatic system, in the heart, and more. So wherever estrogen receptors are located, estrogen has the ability to send a message there and program the function of that body part. But we can't just blame hormones if the messages don't get through. The receptors could also be part of the problem. So I just wanted to bring that to your awareness, because that was something that we discussed in episode number 36, Toxicity-Driven Hormone Imbalance. And that's when I really spoke about how we clean up the receptors and what certain things block receptors and stop the binding of hormones. So go back and listen to number 36 if you haven't listened to that one before. Anyway, we start with birth. Imagine that. We all started at the same place. So from birth to puberty, we don't have no reproductive hormones. We generally have low levels of reproductive hormones until puberty hits. And puberty is a transitional phase from low reproductive hormones to high levels of reproductive hormones. And we all survived puberty. Some of us just, but look, we all survived puberty, so we know that it's not a fatal disease. It's actually not a disease at all. It may have been a roller coaster, but it's a period of transition. And the average age is around, the average age for the start of puberty is around 11, and the entire process can take around 4 years. And after this comes our fertile years. And during this time, most women, okay, not all, most, find that their hormones settle into a pattern and actually come quite predictable. For many women, the perimenopausal phase starts in their 40s. And women tend to sit in two camps. One, which includes me, which are the women who have completed their family and are actually happy to see the end of their periods. Yeah, but there's another camp, And these are the women who haven't finished creating their dream family. And I know this is a topic I haven't spoke about yet. So I wanted to let you know I'm super excited that I've just confirmed a VIP guest. She's a pioneer in this field. And guys, she's worked with over 136,000 couples. So I think she knows what she's talking about. And most of those couples are in that perimenopausal phase. So if that is something that interests you, please make sure you've hit subscribe, because I do not want you to miss out on that. She will blow your mind and give you some action steps to take away to help. Well, to see if she can help you create that dream family. But that is enough of that. We're talking about phases and I digress. Back to perimenopause. So what happens during perimenopause is the predictability of your hormones change. You stop ovulating as frequently. You may still be having a menstrual cycle, but it may come sooner or it may come later. The flow may change to being lighter or heavier. The consistency may turn to be more clottier and a darker flow. It's the reverse of puberty. It's a normal, natural transition in life, and I promise you will survive it. It's certainly not a terminal disease. What we see with the hormones is that your progesterone levels start to drop first, as progesterone is produced by the act of ovulation. And this can cause a problematic imbalance with estrogen. This is called a relative estrogen dominance. It's not that estrogen is high, it's that the ratio between estrogen and progesterone is high. And in my case, this caused the return of my migraines that I had in puberty. The average age of menopause is 51. Did you know that menopause is actually just one day in your life? The next morning you wake up and you're in postmenopause and you remain here for the rest of your life. What I love about this is the longest phase of your life. In Australia, the average age of death is 83. So you have over a third of your life in front of you, and this is your time. This transition is also called the we to me. Time to make yourself your own number one priority, and not everyone else for a change. It's a time of growth and self-reflection and change, and it's a time to re-establish your identity. Who are you if you're not a mother, a wife, an educator, a cleaner, or whatever other jobs you're juggling? What do you want to do with the rest of your life? What do you want to be known for? Do you want to travel? Do you want to start a business? Do you want to contribute? Many women find a new, renewed passion for life, and I hope this is you. But if it's not you and you're stuck, I want you to head to my website and download the 100 Dreams worksheet. And I want you to consider what you want to do, because you've got a third of your life in front of you. But I really think now is a good time to be looking at this, because most of us are starting to come out of COVID-19 quarantine. And this is like a reset button. What is going to be our new normal? Maybe you've decided, okay, I was working too many hours and I've actually enjoyed this quieter pace of life. Or maybe you've realized that actually you're really lonely and that you want to reach out and do more, be involved more in certain ways. But there is no right or wrong answer. It's about what do you want with your life? Because this is, in my opinion, potentially the best, most exciting phase of your life is yet to come. I know I'm excited about it. Anyway, I've gone off track. I've gone off topic yet again. Sorry, guys. Let me get back here. So menopause is a natural transition. It's puberty in reversed. We survived puberty and we will survive this too. We all know someone who woke up one morning and the period stopped. There was no or there was minimal discomfort. Why? It is fantastic for them, but it's just a shame there's not more of us. And I think Dr. Sandra Thompson says it best. She says, if menopause symptoms were due solely to hormonal changes, the menopausal experience would be more homogeneous. What she's saying is that the reduction of reproductive hormones is not the full story with menopause. Otherwise, we would all struggle. And we would struggle with very similar symptom pictures. But we don't. Every woman who is struggling is different. For me, it was my migraines that returned. For someone else, it could be that they have hot flushes. For someone else, fatigue or weight gain or anxiety or insomnia or a combination of all of the above. What I say is hormones load the gun, but what pulls the trigger? Your hormonal reduction makes you more susceptible to symptoms at this point in time. But it's your individual circumstances that may be causing your symptoms. And in a previous episode, in number 32, Naturopathic Medicine for Menopause, I discussed a few common triggers like stress and digestive dysfunction and thyroid dysfunction and liver function, etc. that could be an underlying trigger for why you're having symptoms at this point in time. Because we all know somebody who hasn't. So we need to stop looking at ways of band-aiding up our symptoms and start looking at other potential underlying causes so that we can get back on the path to health and happiness sooner. After all, postmenopause isn't actually a time of no reproductive hormones. It's a time of lower reproductive hormones. And if we can get your body functioning better, other organs like your adrenal and your liver and even your adipose tissue, which is your fat stores, can help produce your reproductive hormones once your ovaries have retired. So we don't actually need high reproductive hormones at this phase of life. Yes, estrogen is protective in many ways, but the quantity we need is much lower as we're not trying to conceive. So that may be food for thought for many of you. And if this is something you want to investigate further, I am still onboarding new patients. So contact the clinic and we'll see if we can have a chat and see if we're suitable to work together. I hope everybody is safe and well, and I look forward to chatting with you all again next week on Menopause Natural Solutions podcast. Bye for now. Thank you for listening to Menopause Natural Solution. This podcast contains general information about menopause. It is provided as a guide and is not intended to replace medical advice. Opinions of guests of their own, and this podcast does not endorse or accept responsibility for statements made by guests.